Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. Paulie, Esther here, and today we have another episode of Watch Paulie Guess Poorly. So there was no developer stream today. Instead, we got a teaser that was on their Instagram and their Twitter, and I'll show you what that looks like right now. So clearly, Demise of the Faithful is going to be the name of the next chapter, and along with this teaser came this tweet. In a time of darkness, some look for a light to follow, but nothing can save them, not even faith. And then there's a reminder to watch the Dead by Daylight live stream on Monday, March the 4th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time for exclusive information on the upcoming chapter release. The stream is actually entitled Chapter Reveal. So whether the public test build will start on Monday, March the 4th, or if it'll be the next day, Tuesday, March the 5th, remains to be seen. But it's super close, I would say, judging from this. Now, let's get into the actual imagery and what we can derive from this, if anything. So the first thing we see in this image is this disembodied hand, which seems to have some kind of scarring or burning or plague on it, wearing lots of rings and seems to have a sharp thumbnail, which means they probably have sharp fingernails on all of their digits, I imagine, holding this chained instrument with some smoke or fog coming out of it. So we're going to break all of this down here. First, right away, when you see all of these rings on the hand, I think we can all agree that this means that the killer is none other than Tom Brady, who I have often thought of as an evil person to begin with. So it's obviously Tom Brady is the killer. No, just kidding. So when I first saw this, it immediately screamed religious theme to me, an undead priest of some sort. And I don't know if I want to stray from that, but there are some possibilities that isn't what it is. They tend to not be so spot on when they show us these images. It might not be what we're thinking all the time. So this instrument that's being held in the hand of most likely the killer. I have to assume this is the killer's hand, although I don't know why it's disembodied. Assuming this is the killer's hand, I think we can safely say that it's a male killer. The instrument that they're holding is called a censer or a thurible, which is used during worship ceremonies. You put charcoal inside and the incense on top, and the incense burns, and they swing it back and forth to distribute the incense through the house of worship. I will, however, say that this is also employed in ceremonial magic. So it might not be a religious icon. Now, people said to me, they said they would never do religion, but I never heard them say that. That was my own spin on it, that I believe they would never do religion. So it's quite possible that they will do something religious, or it could be ceremonial magic. A high priest of a cult, for example. There was something in the lore stream, number 111, let me see if I can find it really quick here, that said, is there a cult dedicated? Oh, does the entity have worshippers or cults dedicated to it in reality? And Dave Richard said, I think so, yeah. So it's a possibility that it is an entity cult, and this could be a high priest of a cult of the entity who's now become a killer. So in that way, you would have no known religious base whatsoever. It would be a religion based on the entity, which isn't really a religion at all. So then it wouldn't have any denominational connection whatsoever. Or it could just be Catholicism. So what do I know? Hey, I got it. They took me up on my idea of Pope Francis, and Pope Francis has now become corrupted. Pope Adam Francis, and turned into the killer. No. Okay, enough jokes. Enough of the jokes. Sorry. So just taking the tweet at face value and reading through the quote, in a time of darkness, some look for a light to follow, but nothing can save them, not even faith. It certainly seems like the killer is a person of some kind of religion who turned to faith and was still consumed by darkness and became a servant of the entity in the realm of fog. So religion really seems to be the strongest connection that we can go on. If we didn't have this clue from Dave about this killer being from the oldest period in time, I most certainly would be leaning towards the killer being Father Campbell himself. But the time period doesn't work because Sally Smithson, the nurse, is from, I believe, World War II, the 1940s. We know that the Huntress is the oldest killer in time, and this killer that we're getting now is supposed to be even older than this by a long shot. But if that wasn't the case, I certainly would have said this is Father Campbell come back in the entity as a different killer. The nurse stole Father Campbell's last breath, and it became one of her add-ons for her power, Spencer's last breath. So Father Campbell is part of the lore. I don't think he is this killer because it doesn't fit the timeline. There is a possibility that he could be the survivor, however, if the demise in faith refers to the survivor. But I think it's got to be killer related, right? I don't think it can be Father Campbell. And besides, I think we want a female survivor at this point, right? We only had one female survivor released in 2017. We only had one female survivor released in 2018. Let's start off 2019 with a female survivor, shall we? I don't know. We'll see. As far as what the killer's power is going to be, no idea. I would assume it's going to be smoke related. That seems to be the most obvious clue we have here, is the smoke coming out of this incense burner. Now, is the killer going to be able to use the smoke for their power or for their weapon? It's being held in their right hand. Typically, the killers are using their weapon in their right hand. Is it going to be a ranged attack with this chain? Is the killer going to be able to throw this thurible at you to hurt you? Or is the thurible just for part of the power? No idea. Could be either, could be both. We'll have to wait and see. And obviously the counter to the killer's power, since they have all these rings, and the papal movement, I don't know if you're familiar with Catholicism or the mafia, but in both of those organizations, to show deference and respect to the leader, you kiss the ring. So that's going to be the counterplay against this killer, is to simply kiss the ring, right? So between Tuesday's teaser and today's teaser, that gets you all caught up to speed. And I do want to take a moment to address the giant Molly flag in the room. So, Paulie made an oopsie. So you may know that about a month ago I put out this tweet with these bars of colors which represented the Molly flag. And I was doing it to be cute, and I regret it. And if I could go back in time and do it all over again, I would scrap the idea. But, you know, I'm not a perfect person. None of us are. But I do regret having done this, and I will explain to you why I did it. So, I don't think a lot of people know this. I think possibly more people... I think I estimated that more people are aware of this than actually are. So, with the different DLCs for different chapters, at first they were just called DLC number or whatever they were. And then once the Freddy chapter came, it was code-named in the folder as England. And I thought, oh, that's kind of a funny pun because of Robert Englund and Freddy, so they named the chapter England. And then the next chapter was the pig, and that chapter was named Finland. And then the next chapter was the clown, and that was named Guam. And then the next chapter was the spirit, and that was named Haiti. And then the next chapter was the Legion, and that was named Kenya. So all the chapter code names were after countries, and they were in alphabetical order from E to K. So I was talking to somebody, not anybody who works for behavior, but I was saying, well, okay, so the next one's going to be L, and they said, no, it's actually M. And I said, well, wait a minute, we didn't have L if they're going in alphabetical order. And they said, well, the L was actually the code name for the mid-chapter patch, and that's why we didn't have an I or a J, because those were also mid-chapter code names, whatever countries they were, India or Japan or Laos or whatever those missing letters were. So they said we're actually on M. So I said, oh, okay, so maybe it's going to be like Malaysia or Madagascar. And somehow they already knew the information. They said, no, it's Mali, because somebody said they were working on the Mali chapter, and they had overheard this part. And I was like, oh, okay, so Mali. So the actual Mali doesn't have anything to do with the chapter, as far as I know. It's just like the code name, just like all of the others. Like the clown doesn't have anything to do with Guam, right? So It's just the code name. So I was trying to like generate hype and put this out there, and I thought a lot of people were going to catch on that the code name was Molly, and there were a few of you who did, but there weren't enough of you who did, and it wound up going off with a lot of speculation about killers from cryptids from Africa and things like that, trying to determine what the killer could be coming from Africa. And I thought, oh, this is a disaster, because now what if people are gone in one direction and they've hyped up these ideas so much in their mind that it's going to be a certain focus from a part of Africa and Mali, and then behavior delivers something else and it winds up being a letdown. So I quickly took down the tweet, which then some people interpreted that meant that I was asked to take it down, which I wasn't. I did talk to Matthew Cote about this, and he said I wasn't in trouble for doing it, and he wanted to know how I found out the code name, which I explained to him, and I was completely honest and truthful with him. And again, I'm not a perfect person. I was just trying to generate hype as a hype man for the game, and it failed. It backfired on me miserably, in my opinion anyway. And if I had it to do over again, I wouldn't do it. And I still, to this day, even like yesterday, have seen Matthew Cote fielding questions about Molly, and it hurts me that I put him in that position, and all I could do is apologize. So, yeah, if I had it to do over again, I certainly wouldn't. But that's the explanation behind the whole Molly flag, if that makes sense to everybody. In other news, Dead by Daylight expanded their Fog Whisperers program today. They had over 2,500 people apply for these positions. I was one of the OG 10, and they expanded the program now to 50 Fog Whisperers. There's a link in the description to see which of your favorite content creators have now been named Fog Whisperers. There are some omissions. There's definitely people that I wish were on the list too. There's certain reasons why some of those people aren't on there. They either have received bans, which I believe automatically disqualifies them, unfortunately, or they didn't apply. Congratulations to all the content creators who were chosen to be one of my new Fog Whisperer brothers and sisters. There is a group of 8 content creators from around the world, some very high-profile Twitch streamers, many of which I'm sure you have heard of, like Hybrid Panda or Cauliflower, Morph UK, etc., who are going to a content creator council in Montreal at the behavior offices next week. I think they are probably going to be in-house on March 4th when this special dev stream occurs. Possibly you'll see some of them on the stream. I don't know exactly what's going to happen on that stream, apart from what they're saying is going to be the chapter reveal. What else the people who are there for the Content Creator Council are going to do, I have no idea, but I can only assume it's going to be positive things for the game, and I hope that they all have a lot of fun in Montreal and take in some Tim Hortons coffee and poutine, not necessarily together at once, but while they are there. Have a great time in Montreal, everybody. Matthew Cote did say on one of his streams that there's an upcoming perk that he's very excited about. He said that he hasn't been this excited about a perk since Franklin's Demise came out. No idea what it is. He's tight-lipped about it. But it sounds like there's a pretty cool perk coming in this chapter, whether it's for Survivor or Killer remains to be seen. So that's all I've got for you today. I don't really have any other theory. It seems like it's some kind of a priest or religious figure. Will we get any more information before Monday? Doubtful. But thankfully, we don't have to wait that long, right? So thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great day. We'll see you next time. Take care of each other out there in the fog. And I'm super hyped for Monday. I always send Not Queen these messages. I'm like, I'm so hyped. And she says to me, Paulie, when are you not hyped? And I'm like, I guess that's true. But I'm like super hyped. I can't wait for this, you guys. Super exciting. Have a great day. Bye-bye.